So they're not dead. they're living on their planet, but they have found a way to project an aspect of their consciousness through time and space to connect, not just with me. They are actually connecting with others in the world too. And as a matter of fact, just a couple of days ago, I got a message from one of the other IP trainers. We have a big community of people all around the world. And she said, you're going to want to know this. She said, a woman that I know who's an amazing healer and a channel just told me the other day that in her channeling session, she's starting to get this entity called Frank. And she didn't know who it was. And so she, this woman who knows me told her all about it. So I know that they're working with other people. I don't think they always use the name Frank. I think, people get other names for them too. But the really cool aspect of that is that they're going about their lives on their home, but they're able to project an aspect of themselves. And so the idea that they say about us too is that we're all multi-dimensional beings. That we are all able to do that, and in fact that we are actually doing it all the time. That we have other dimensional lives going on at the same time we're experiencing this one. Okay, it's all right.
Yes.
So, good catch.
Sorry.
It's all right. You okay?
Yeah, I'm just trying to look back. I can't.
It's okay. You can just cough. It's all right.
I know, but it's one of those ones where I feel like I'm gonna.
It's okay. It's all right.
I know you're alive, so it's making me worried.
No, it's okay. They don't mind. They know you're human.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So, anyway. Okay. Now we're gonna have the giggles.
Oh my gosh.
You all right now? Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Better.
No, I have that happen sometimes. So, so Frank has come to help us through some of the tough times that we've been going through recently. So they have experienced what they have said in the writings and in the live sessions is that their history is kind of similar, that they were kind of even further along than we are at the brink of destruction of their planet. And what really kind of saved them was this kind of elevation of consciousness, this understanding that they were more than just these physical beings, kind of, that elevated vibration that rose above all of the materialism and stuff that was really ruining their planet. So because they haven't had that experience, they kind of go around the universe and look for people who need them, who need their help. And they found us. And so that I'm not the only one that they're working with, but it is amazing to bring them through. When I first started, it was just the writing. And then I decided to try to experiment with, the verbal channeling, which again I hadn't done much of. And it's a very interesting experience. It's not at all what I would expect it to be. I kind of thought that I would leave the building, and that they would just talk through me. But it's not like that at all. I just kind of move over a little bit. So I move to the side, I move to the left, and I can feel myself kind of shift. But I'm still here, I'm still conscious. I could stop it at any time. I still have control over it. I'm not like totally out of control of it. I don't think I would be comfortable with that, This way I feel comfortable with this. And they always come in from the right, and I can already feel them here. When they're getting ready to come through, I start to feel like a pressure on the right arm. And I feel, the energy of them. They come in through the right, and my voice kind of changes a little, my posture, it's not really, you can tell that it's not really me speaking. But I'm still engaged in the process of translating through the brain, what they're saying. They're not speaking English to me. They're not just speaking English. They don't speak English. somebody once asked that question of them, can you speak other languages? And they said, we don't speak English, we speak in frequency. So they're giving me the frequency, which is being translated into my native language in my brain, right? So if I spoke Portuguese, it would be coming out in Portuguese, you know? So, you know, it's just kind of this instant translation thing going on. And it's a really interesting process. So when I do the live sessions, sometimes people experience feeling some kind of energy. I've even had people say they have seen, you know, just little things, nothing really dramatic. Some people don't feel anything at all. You know, it just depends on your energy, where you are, and how they're coming through. Sometimes they come through really strongly and people really feel it. I even had people have to get up and walk away because they feel the energy is very strong. So if you're sensitive to energy, and I'm sure you all are, you might sense a little bit of a shift in the energy in the room when they come through. And you might already be sensing it already because they're clearly right here. So again, there's 8 of them. Sometimes I feel there's a shift in who's speaking. You know, it's an interesting kind of thing. And usually what happens is they just do a little introductory talk for a few minutes, and then they open it up to your questions. So that's what we'll do. You know, I have this session timed for an hour and a half. I don't know if we'll go that long, but if somebody would just keep an eye on the time, because if they'll talk for hours. If it has happened in the past where I've done live group sessions, that, you know, I was doing a group session that was supposed to be, I think, an hour and a half, and like 2 hours later, somebody finally kind of had to say, hey, Frank, I think it's time to end, because I don't have any sense of time, and, you know, they just seem to love to talk. So if you could just signal me if we're getting close to 8:30, like if it's 8:25 and they're still going strong, don't be afraid to just say, hey, it's 8:25. Hey, Frank, it's 8:25. And, you know, so that we wrap up. Yeah, that's good. That's wonderful. Thank you. But, you know, again, I'm not sure that they'll go that long since there's only 3 of you, but we'll see. They can be very talkative, and they haven't talked for a while, and I can really feel that they have a lot to say. So,
are the questions that we ask, supposed to be like general or personal, or can it be any?
It can be anything. If it's something that they don't feel like they can answer, they'll tell you. You know, they're not psychic. They're not in the business of making predictions. But if someone asks a personal question, usually they kind of want to give you a different perspective. You know what I mean? It's like helping you see whatever the issue is from a different perspective. They're not really giving you advice of how to solve the problem or anything like that. It's not like a reading, you know? Mm-hmm. So that's why I don't do personal sessions with people with Frank, because they're not really doing readings. But they can help you to get a different perspective on something. So it might not be the answer, you know, like the answer, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Their whole thing is about empowering us to find our own answers, you know what I mean? So you can get some interesting stuff from them. And again, if they don't know, or if that's not what they want to talk about, they'll say so. Okay? They love to talk about us as a species in the world and consciousness, and, you know, the new book is called From Deep Space with Love, and the subtitle is A Conversation About Consciousness, the Universe, and Building a Better World, because that's pretty much what we talk about. And it's kind of like an interview. So Mike asks questions, and then Frank answers the questions. So that's pretty much how the session goes when we come to the question and answer part. But in the beginning, they just kind of blabber on, okay? And I never know what they're going to talk about. So, anything else you want to ask me before we get started? Okay.
Have you been here before?
No. She took a class with me, but Frank didn't come through in the class. So, when I channel, I have to be sitting for some reason, but I feel more comfortable sitting. And so if you're all ready, I'll just bring them on through. And it might take a couple minutes. But I just kind of do some breathing, and you'll know when they're here. Okay. And keep my eyes closed the whole time too, by the way. You guys hear me out there? Everybody hear me? Okay. There's a few people there. Good evening. We are quite thrilled to be here with you in this small gathering. And for those of you watching from afar, we bid you a good evening. We are happy that you have ventured out to hear us speak this evening. We wish you an auspicious new year. We know that this is quite a high energy time for you, with the many changes that are occurring here in your country, in your own individual lives, as you prepare to enter a new phase in many ways. We are quite sympathetic to the consternation that you may be feeling, the trepidation and doubt that you may be feeling as you see the long road stretched in front of you without a very clear sense of where that road is leading. It is and it can be quite an uncomfortable feeling to be standing on the precipice of a change when you are not clear about the direction that change is taking you in your own individual lives and as a collective species. But what we would like to remind you of today is to remain sure of the path that you have already laid for yourselves and as a collective species. There is at this time an elevation of consciousness. And in the midst of an elevation of consciousness is that uncomfortable aspect of shifting energy and change. And so it is quite usual for you to feel uncomfortable at this time with those shifting energies. Do not expect that this will be easy. But do not expect it to be a disaster either. What we would suggest for you is to stay focused on the energy that you would prefer to be feeling. Even if you are not presently feeling that energy, it is important that you focus your attention and energy on where you would like to see yourself and your people in the coming year, whether or not you understand if that is even possible at this time. This is your challenge. The challenge is to stay focused on that which you are not sure about, despite what you are seeing. What you are seeing and being shown and hearing is not the entire truth. And so it is most important that you engage the feeling aspect of yourself to become more aware of those hidden truths that are not being shown to you at this time. If you are only engaging in the intellectual and logical process, you will be deceived. And this is what has happened and been shown to you in many ways in the past year, both individually and as a whole. And so, as spiritually seeking people, it is imperative that you engage that spiritual aspect of self to rise above that which is weighing upon your energy. It is that heaviness of energy which creates a feeling of hopelessness and dread. But it is the higher vibrational energy which helps you to see the possibilities ahead. It helps you to see them internally, even though you are not seeing them yet externally. And so in your own lives, this will be a year of change, as everything is changing at all times. But this year in particular is bringing the energy of shifts and a change. And all of these years that have been leading up to the idea of the shift of consciousness have led you to this point. Everything that you have heard and read about the shift of consciousness, here you are experiencing it now in your incarnation as you are right now. And it is what you have chosen to come here to participate in. And not just to witness, but to be a willing participant in that shift. And it is most imperative that you understand the power of your energy to participate in that shift. You are not just a passenger on this train. You are each conductors. And as a conductor of energy, as the driver of the vehicle, it is important that you have a clear idea of where you would like to go. If you are turning your energy over to some etheric notion of power, you lose sight of where it is that you want to go. And so we would remind you to stay focused on where it is that you would like to go. What you would like to be feeling. What you would like to be seeing in your external world. Because it is that focus that will create the change and to create the direction of the shift of consciousness. It is not up to the lower consciousness of others who are hopeless, lost, and afraid. That energy is much less powerful than that of the higher consciousness, which sees possibility, hope, and possible joy. And so, how does one stay in that elevated state? What we would recommend is that you practice joyful awareness and gratitude each and every day. That every time you are challenged by something that is shown to you that you do not wish to see or experience, that you counter that with a focus on joy, a focus on gratitude, and a shift toward something that will raise your energy from that lower state. It is a conscious and deliberate choice. You are not victims of what you are hearing. What you are hearing can be the catalyst toward moving towards something better. This is the challenge that is being presented to those who have been willing to take it on, and that includes you, or you would not be sitting here this evening. Yes? You have already proven yourselves to be up to this challenge. By the mere fact that you have come here tonight. You have come out into the cold to witness something that you were not so sure of. But there was something in your consciousness that drew you here. And if you heeded that call, it is quite clear that you are heeding the call toward an elevated consciousness as a participant in this shift. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yes. This also applies to those who are listening from afar. This is why we have come. It does not take a majority of your population to be enlightened, to shift the energy of your world to a higher state. It takes a small percentage. You are part of that percentage, which is growing exponentially all of the time. Make no mistake about that. Again, this may not be what your eyes and your ears are telling you, but it is the truth. That as people are waking up to the idea that the attachment to what they are believing as truth is not serving them, they are seeking other truths. And when one seeks another truth, one raises the level of vibration and consciousness exponentially. To seek the truth within That is where the truth lies at all times, within and not without. And so, as you head into this new year, with new possibilities, with a beautiful blank canvas at your disposal, we wish you to apply the paint with joy and joyful abandon, but also with careful discernment, so that you are elevating always, elevating energy, rising above that which threatens to hold you down, rising above that which you know is not the only truth, and in fact is not the truth at all. Choosing to place your focus onto that which brings you connection with the heart, with Source, and with each other. This is where the truth lies, and not in the mouths of those who would have you believe that they are in charge. It is you who decides how this year will go. And so we ask that you set those coordinates soon. And it does not have to be a particular destination. It can lead toward a joy, toward an ease and flow in your life, toward opening yourself to receive the abundance of the universe and to share the joy and wisdom of your own path with others. If that is the only path that you seek, that is more than enough. And once you set those coordinates, you will find the universe gives you plenty of opportunities to exercise those things, to be challenged to apply yourself to the world in a higher way. And it can be one chance encounter that changes someone's life forever. It can be one small change that changes your own life forever. There will be plenty of opportunities for those things. They have already started to appear in your lives. And so we hope that you are feeling the shift of energy from what appeared to be quite a heavy energy of the previous 12 months to a bit of lightening of that energy as we enter a new phase. There are many aspects to that energetic shift. Some are atmospheric, some are astrological, and some are part of the natural shift and flow of the energy of humans themselves as they enter a new phase of their own evolution. You are not the same species you were just 100 years ago. That is quite remarkable. You have evolved and changed in such a short period of time. There is no limit to what you can achieve. We have never been as impressed with a species and a planet as we have been with your... It is quite remarkable. And we are quite enamored of you. And so we come with nothing but love and a sense of wanting to support you through some of these more difficult times. And so, as such, we are happy to take any questions you may have at this point.
I have a question. I guess it has pertaining to angels. I believe in angels. I'm wondering how you relate to angels, or if maybe in some sense you are a group of angels. Do you experience angels?
We are not, but we have encountered this energy. It is quite a powerful and remarkable energy, and it is quite real. The energy of the angelic presence is such that it is purely focused on being of service. The beings in that realm are at quite a different vibrational frequency from us and from you and from most other spiritual beings. Does not mean, though, that they are in a sense of a hierarchy, you see. This is what we would like to stress with you. The sense of putting the vibrational beings into a hierarchy of purpose is a human construct, you see. All beings have their own sacred purpose. All beings have a direct line to source, including yourselves and including those which you consider to be the lower vibrational beings. The angel does not have a more direct line of communication with the source than you do. However, their sole purpose of being is to lend their energy and support to others. And so that focus of energy makes them quite powerful, you see. The higher vibration of that energy allows them to perform quite miraculous feats. They are pure beings of light and love. And they perform their duties with immense joy. We can relate, but we are not quite the same.
Thank you.
What else can we answer for you tonight?
On my way here, I had tinkling on the top of my head. I guess like the crown chakra. And I'm wondering, every once in a while I get that, and I didn't know if it had something to do with me coming here or what. What am I trying to ask you? I'm trying to think. I don't know. It's been happening recently, so I guess any input you have on that would be great.
Yes. Again, you would not be here tonight if you hadn't already been doing some of this spiritual awakening and opening of your energy to the higher elevated vibrational frequencies of a source and all of its many forms. Such as angelic energy and other spirit energy. And it is quite a natural phenomenon that the higher chakras connect with that higher frequency, see. And so this chakra at the crown of the head is the energy center, which is in a state of reception, as though you were an antenna receiving the signals directly from the source. And so you are always in that state of receivership. It is simply not usually a conscious act. But as you elevate your frequency, as you work with your own energy, it becomes more noticeable to you. That energy, that state of connection. And so, as you were preparing to enter this session, your consciousness on a deeper level than that which you are aware of was preparing you to receive. It is as though you are raising that antenna to receive us and other higher frequencies. And it can create a physical sensation of energy at the top of the head. And so what we would suggest is that you work with that energy, that you find ways to control that when you are aware of that happening, that you ask within what it is that this is telling you, what it is that is communicating with you, what it is that you are connecting with at that time. Sometimes you may get an answer and sometimes you may not. But in any case, simply be in awe of the miracle of the energetic connection that is inherent to you and everyone. As a higher consciousness being. And again, this is not to put anyone in a hierarchy of being more or less important. But you are all aware that there are those human beings who operate at a lower frequency. That is their job. It is their life path, and it is not wrong. They have chosen that. It is quite possible that they at some time in their life's path may choose something different. But there are many who will not. We need to make peace with that. There are those then who choose a different level of consciousness because they are ready for it. Because that is what their journey this time around is about. Those individuals will have different energetic awareness, which the other individuals will not understand. And you will not make them understand. So, one of the things that you may experience in that higher awareness is the physical sensation of energetic frequency. Some of you may hear things, see things internally, have a higher elevated psychic awareness. Some of you will feel the energetic pulses from each other and from the atmosphere in general. Some of you may be feeling our energy at this time. each of you will experience this a bit differently. But if there is something going on here, clearly you are connecting on a higher level. And it is a gift. It does not mean that the others are not. Just on a different level of awareness of that. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
Okay, so I have a question. I know Frank is a collective, and I wanted to know, like, is it different than mediumship when someone who passed on comes through versus you're actually living on another planet and you're coming through? Is it the same way a spirit will come through that passed on, or is it you're living and you're able to communicate almost telepathically through space?
It is a combination. The way that we are able to communicate is not quite through the channels of telepathy. It is more likened to that of the spirit communication, in that there is a projection of our consciousness in order to come through the channel and to communicate this way. It is not simply a projection of thought, which is what telepathy is. Yes? Thought is very powerful and can transcend time and space. But we are harnessing an energy which is a bit stronger than that, which is a projection of consciousness. You see, the level of consciousness that we have achieved allows us to communicate with no boundaries of time, space, and universal frequencies which may get in the way of thought transference, you see. And so, in that way, we are more likened to a spirit communication. And yet, we are not fully in spirit. There are aspects of our being which exist in different dimensional spaces and times. There are aspects of your being which exist in the same way. But it is usually in an unconscious way. It is not in a deliberate or directed sense of projection. We have discovered a way to deliberately and intentionally project that consciousness. You see, this is the difference.
Thank you.
We are assisted in that process through the anomaly in space, which has been identified as wormholes, you see, which are distortions of time and space, which assist us in projecting that energetic aspect of our consciousness through space and time, which we fully expect will be harnessed at some time in your future to affect physical space travel. But at this time, we have no need for that. this is much easier.
This physical body and the soul, is there another aspect? Is there a third aspect? Is there an opposing or a contrasting?
It's a very interesting question, and it is not an easy way to answer that, but what we can explain to you in simplistic terms is that your being is a soul. The being that contains all the many multidimensional aspects of yourself as they have existed in all times and all spaces, is that soul energy. If you think of this soul energy as an ocean, there are many tributaries from that ocean, which are aspects of it, still connected to it, and still of the same material as it. And so, from your soul being comes many different dimensional spirits. This, as you sit here tonight, is one. There are those that you have lived in the past. There are those that have yet to come in the future. And there are those that are occurring in other dimensional spaces and times. And there will be those that are not incarnate. There are aspects of that soul being which still exist in spirit form. And so you are many and you are one. And as you pass through each experience of incarnation, you return to the soul with the information and the knowledge and the experience of this incarnation to enrich the experience of the soul. And so you choose to have a wide variety of experiences, to continue to enhance and enrich that beautiful soul being. Some will not feel so pleasant, but there is always something to be gained through those experiences.
Can we connect to those experiences? Can we gain from them? Can we learn from them?
If you choose, you see. It is a matter of what you choose to see in those experiences. It is where you choose to place your attention and focus. As a human being with an emotional center, you will have an emotional reaction to that experience that you do not want. It is inevitable that a human being will resist and avoid that which it does not want. But one does not need to choose to stay in that state of resistance. And this is where the challenge lies, you see. One may choose to say, What is this showing me? What is this teaching me? What can I take from this? How is this helping me to see myself better? It is not an easy thing to do. But those questions can help you to see the truth. And those questions can help you move from that state of despair to one of acceptance and an elevated consciousness. This is the trick. Once you get that, you will find a much greater ease in this incarnated experience, because you will more easily focus on that which is the great gift of simply being alive. See? But if you are constantly focused on resisting the things that challenge you, you are missing the beauty of being alive, you see? This is not to say that an elevated consciousness means no more suffering, see? It simply means that you do not dwell into that state of suffering quite so long. And that when you move and shift your energy from that state of suffering, you have an epiphany of awareness of what that suffering is showing you and enhancing in your energetic field. And even if you cannot see that, even if the challenge is so great that your consciousness and your intellect will not allow you to understand that, you will still have a level of acceptance and faith in the universal experience that you will not choose to dwell in that state of despair, you see? It is not a matter of choosing never to suffer or be challenged. It is a matter of choosing how to process through the suffering and challenge, you see? And to see it as a process. And to choose what to do with that experience.
So if I choose to have a connection with a being that's called Frank, or the angelic realm, or something of that sort, because I'm choosing this and intending on it, it will happen.
It is happening. It is happening, you see. It is happening at all times. It is simply not always reaching your consciousness, your conscious awareness. The level of consciousness which is connected to your memory and your experience of reality. If you think about some of the experiences that you have in the dream state, for instance, you see, some of those experiences will remain in your consciousness upon waking. And this is a memory of the dream, right? And this is something which now appears to be real until your consciousness computes it as a dream experience. And then you will see it as a memory of a dream. It's because it has reached that level of consciousness where you are aware of it. But there are many dreams in that same evening, in that same sleep cycle, that have not reached that level of conscious awareness, but still have an effect upon your conscious being. Otherwise, they would not have occurred at all. Why do you dream all night and only remember a few?
Yeah, I had a dream. I don't remember the dream when I was waking up. It was almost like a otherworldly or multi-dimensional figure, almost like a Merkaba's cube or some kind of crazy geometric shape. I'm wondering what that's about. It was almost glowing, different colors. And I guess the closest thing I think of it is like a Merkaba's cube. Is that what it's called? What would that be?
In the sleep state, your conscious mind steps aside. It's placed in a lower vibrational state, which allows other levels of conscious awareness to step in. And so, in the experience of having other dimensional existences occurring at the same time as this one, you are not aware of those existences because all of your attention is focused on this one. Because your consciousness is attuned to this particular incarnation. But when that conscious awareness steps aside in the sleep state, there is a sense of awareness of these other existences, which may be interpreted by the brain as a dream experience, because there is no other way for your brain to make sense of that. Your brain does not have the capability to understand another dimensional experience as being reality. And so the memory of that crossover into another dimensional space will appear as a dream. And so it is clear that that snippet of memory was an interpretation, and not necessarily a literal one, of another dimensional experience. And there is a part of your consciousness which knows that this is real, which is why you are feeling it as something special. But understand the limited capabilities of this matter in your head known as the brain, which is a miraculous and an incredible organ, but still is physical matter and has limitations in what it can compute, you see. And so the person who is basing their sense of reality solely on what this brain is showing them as truth is missing those higher levels of conscious awareness, an energetic awareness, which go beyond what the brain can compute as reality. See? The dream state can take us there, and you will wake with a sense of having traveled somewhere, but without really understanding what that means. The dreams that cross you over into those other levels of dimensional awareness will feel quite different from those that are simply functions of the brain. They will feel quite different. On an energetic level, there will be a sense of truth to them. You will wake with a sense of having been somewhere. This is quite a beautiful experience. And so what we would suggest is that if these experiences occur, that you sit in wonder of them, sit in wonder and awe and curiosity of them. But don't try too hard to make sense of them, because the brain will balk at that. Simply know that it is a sign, it is a clear sign from the universe that you are an amazing multidimensional being of light that is directly connected with source energy. And there is your sign of that.
Right.
I feel like that explains why I'm having a hard time understanding source energy, connecting to the light. My limited brain is fighting it.
It is not what you learn. And the brain matter is programmed from what you learn to be truth, you see. It is similar to that of a computer processor that is programmed by an individual who tells it what it should do. Your brain is programmed from the time you are able to learn to understand the truth in certain ways. And there are very few individuals who are raised in such a way that their brain is programmed to accept the vibrational, energetic experience as truth. The children are taught to not listen to their intuitive voice. Children are taught that their imagination is less than their intellect. The children are taught not to pay attention to the vibrational beings that they may see and experience. And so there is a blockage to that experience. And most people do not ever transcend that blockage, you see. And that is okay. It is not a fault. It is simply what their life experience is meant to be at this time. But there will always be at the center of every being, no matter what they believe, there will always be a sense of truth within them, which transcends what they know to be truth, or what they believe to be truth. There will be a different sense of truth within them. And many people find that conflict between what their brain is telling them is truth and what they are feeling is truth is being quite destructive in their lives. You see. They don't know how to make peace with that. And so they feel at odds with themselves. And so when one is feeling at odds with themselves, they seek solutions outside of themselves. They seek pleasure and joy outside of themselves and are usually not successful in finding that. Because if they are not finding the joy and peace within, it is quite difficult to find without it. Instead, what they will find is more and more evidence that there is something wrong with them, you see. But through spiritual awareness, it is not necessarily understanding all. It is simply knowing and accepting that there is more than you can understand.
Thank you. That's good.
This is what enlightenment is. It is understanding yourself as a spiritual being, which transcends the ability of your physical body to understand, to compute, to make sense of, and making peace with that, you see. I'm
happy with that.
Good.
I have a question. Do you believe in that there's reincarnation? Because I sometimes do. I've done like a past life regression, and I've done. I've just noticed like some children come in like with like wisdom that is beyond their age. Yet there's this part of me which I've always believed that when someone passes away, they'll be waiting for you on the other side. And there's this part of me that doesn't want to believe that there's reincarnation. So I'm like, well, what if when I pass away, he went into, a different body? But I mean, I understand that, on the other side, there's no such thing as time and space. But it seems like I'm almost conflicted in my head because of those two things that I believe.
Again, you are making the assumption that you are one being. You are making the assumption that the spirit that will leave your body at some point in time is all that you are. And that spirit now must decide whether to remain in spirit or to incarnate again. We say it is not either of those choices, it is both. That the spirit can decide to stay in spirit and decide to incarnate in another body. Because you are multi-dimensional, see? As such, there are many choices to be made. And this is not something that, again, is easy to compute, because you have been taught that you are one person with one life, and that this life is all that there is. Even those religious beliefs that say that you will return to spirit do not talk about that spirit being more than one dimension of time and space. See? And yet your quantum physicists have proven that singular particles can exist in multiple places at the same time. There's no difference between that and you. It is not that you are many beings. You are one being with many dimensional selves. Just as in this one life, you are not just one being with one job, with one role. You do not describe yourself as one thing. You have many different aspects of your personality in this life. Would you not say that? You are at one time a child. You are a daughter to someone. You are perhaps a wife to someone. You are perhaps a mother to someone. You are a worker. You are what you choose to do in your profession, which may change multiple times. How many roles have you assumed in this one lifetime? This is how you can start to understand the aspect of being a multidimensional being. Your soul is one. And yet that soul has many dimensions which wish to express themselves in many infinite numbers of ways. And the soul is only one infinitesimal aspect of Source. But it is a similar process. Source has decided to discover itself through you. And through all of these experiences that you choose. The Source is experiencing itself through these incarnations. And through the spiritual dimension as well. They are all just as important, sacred, and holy aspects of the divine, you see.
Now when you say source, or you say divine, many people here would probably say call God, whatever name, some parts of the world would say Allah. You're calling it source and divine. I'm wondering, from where you come from, if there is a belief in a source or a God.
Yes, and it has changed many times. There are still those on our planet who have a more traditional, conventional sense of that energy, similar to what you have believed, but there is no religion per se, in our world. We have not divided ourselves into different factions of belief. And yet there are those who tend to hold on to the older sense of the Supreme Being as being more closely linked in a physical sense to ourselves. Just as when you depict a physical representation of your God, looks quite human, you see. This makes sense to the idea of a being that you can relate to, right? Yes. If you were to depict the God as some etheric being that you could not understand, you would not relate to that, you see. And yet God is not a human being. And God is an energy. It is energy, pure energy. There is no physical representation of that which could be accurate, you see. And yet your artists have found ways to depict this in a way that you can relate to, see, yes. And so, yes, we have had a sense of the divine in our world, which has changed as we have come to know ourselves better as aspects of that energy, rather than being separate from it, which, as you each know, is a big difference in understanding yourselves as spiritual beings, rather than seeing yourselves as lower vibrational beings than the energy of Source. You are intrinsically connected. And as Source is the grand creative energy of the universe, and you are a part of that, we want you to understand that the implication is that you are just as creative as Source.
So we're all connected. I believe, the animals, everything I believe is connected. Therefore, we're connected to the beings on your planet. And I guess my question is, there must be, if we're all multi-dimensional beings, we must have beings here that also reside on your planet.
Yes, quite.
What?
If we're all multi-dimensional beings, I said there must be beings that live here on our planet that also reside on the collective of
Yes.
planet.
There are aspects of beings that exist on your planet, that are existing on other planets, that are existing in other dimensional spaces, that are existing beyond time and space, in the past lives, what you would consider past lives, future lives, which in the grand scheme of the universal equation of time and space, all are concurrent, you see. So there are so many different aspects of each of you that the possibilities are limitless as to what you may choose as an incarnated experience at any given time. And so, yes, there are beings on our planet who may also have aspects of their dimensional selves here and other planets as well. And what we want to stress here is that it is a choice. That the biggest gift in this existence as soul beings is choice, is free will, is the ability to choose what you experience.
So if somebody chooses to die, if somebody dies, are they choosing to die?
They are absolutely agreeing to that experience on a soul level. It is, again, this has nothing to do with the conscious thought most of the time. But there is, again, the level of conscious awareness which goes deeper than what you are aware of in the waking state, the deeper levels of consciousness which are more intrinsically connected to the higher self, to the soul being, to the heart center, which make the choice to allow the death experience whenever it occurs. There is never a death experience which is not agreed to by the soul of that being. It is not possible. And again, does not necessarily mean that there is a conscious thought that that being wants to die. When you are programmed to not want to die so that you remain alive. Okay. So in the conscious thought, you are programmed to avoid death. You are programmed to run from danger, to keep yourself alive. And so it is not possible for that consciousness, unless one is suicidal, it is not possible for that consciousness to accept that as truth. Because our consciousness is programmed to stay alive. You see death as the ultimate tragedy. Because in accepting that as truth, you stay alive. When death is actually simply a movement of energy from one form to another.
So if our spirit or our soul lives on, what is the purpose of being in a physical body? If our soul can still grow and do things without a physical body.
Because you are not afforded the opportunity to experience things and challenges, hardships, problems, also great joys. The physical experience cannot be duplicated in spirit. The physical experience of meeting hardship, hunger, disease, heartbreak, suffering, connection with others in a finite way. You do not have that experience in spirit. You have other challenges, but there is nothing that can give you the same experience as you can have in the physical.
The way we can feel spirit, some people can feel spirit. Sometimes, I know someone that could feel her husband touching her after he passed away. Can spirit also feel that person? Or not physically, just their energy?
Yes, absolutely, in an energetic sense. And even, quite frankly,
no pun intended.
Not at all. In a literal physical sense as well. The spirit maintains a sense of physicality to it that is difficult to explain, you see. It is an energetic essence, and yet it maintains a sense of physicality to it so that it can feel. It can think, it can sense in a very similar way as to when it was in the incarnated state, but not quite. And so, in that touch, the spirit does feel the state of that touch as almost a physical experience, if that makes sense to you, see? Just as the incarnate being feels that touch, not quite in a physical sense, but in an energetic sense that is almost physical, you see? It is a different experience, is it not? It is not quite the touch of a physical hand.
Right.
Yes. And so, in spirit, one is free of the heaviness of the energy of the physical body, the physical challenges that weigh one down in the incarnate experience. In spirit, there is no lack. There is no mourning of death. There's no suffering over the problems and dramas of those around us. There is no trying to achieve something. And there is no sense of failure. And those are all of the things that we do not want to experience in this life. These are the things that we want to avoid. Each one of those things is something that you would not think that you chose. And yet each one of those things gives you the opportunity to experience your highest elevated spirit in overcoming those things, rising above those things, and continuing on. If you did not have those challenges, you would not understand how incredibly blessed you are. How incredibly powerful you are. You think of the times in your life that you said, I can't take this anymore. One more thing and I'm going to snap. And then one more thing comes and you continue on. You find a way. You pick yourself up and you keep going. And even if you don't, you still choose most of the time. Most beings choose to remain in the physical experience because there is something in their consciousness which tells them that they are here for a reason. And so, someone who experiences the great tragic loss of someone close to them can choose to remain in that state of mourning and shut themselves away from the world. And that would not be a wrong choice. Someone else may choose to use that experience to help others who experience loss. That would not be a wrong choice. Because when that being returns to spirit, they will simply look at that experience and accept it for whatever it was and take what they can from it to add to the experience of their complete soul. In that way, there is no judgment. So you can't get it wrong.
No judgment. I judge myself. Not judging limitations. Judge
other people. This is not something that you need to aspire to, is no judgment. But what we would suggest that you become aware of when you are judging. Simply becoming aware of when that judgment comes in will help you to transcend it. Do not set these goals for yourself to be
perfect.
Yes. Simply become aware of what is in your best interest at that particular time. And so if it is that you are becoming aware that you are judging someone else, is there something to that judgment which can be seen as discernment? So discernment is a choice of about where you place your energy. Judgment is saying that someone is less than yourself, you see. There's a difference. But what we would most want to stress to you is that you become aware of when you are judging yourself and placing expectations on yourself which are out of the realm of possibility for a human being living in these times. You must be gentle with yourself so that you may extend that gentleness to others.
What would be your best advice for, for wanting to serve others, this me personally, for me to serve others, and while becoming as spiritually conscious and aware as I can, what would be your best advice for me to bring that about other than patience? And I guess, touching that part, that spiritual learning every day. But what would be your best advice for me or others?
We would like you to understand the power of your intention. It is the intention which is the catalyst of your free will. And so when you make a choice, you're intending something to occur. You're intending your energy to be directed in a certain way. You are wanting to feel something, experience something in your life in a certain way. It is important that you set that intention with clarity. And so, if it is your desire to be of service, you do not need to direct the way that that service needs to come about. You simply need to open your energy to many opportunities to be a person who is in service. When you open your energy to receive those possibilities, they will come to you without a doubt, but they may not be in the way that you are expecting. And so you do not want to get too caught up in the idea that this has to be in a particular way. If you ask the universe to give you the opportunity to be of service, you may find yourself in a situation at the right place at the right time to simply uplift someone. It may not even seem to be what you were hoping for. It does not mean that you are going to a foreign country to feed starving children, and yet that opportunity may arise as well. Simply intending to place your experience, your learning, into the service of others will certainly bring about that situation. But it is also important that you listen and pay attention to those opportunities and synchronicities which come into your path once you set that intention. And so you may feel one day drawn to take a different route than usual. You may feel one day drawn to stop at a different place than usual. Again, your free will may step in and say, well, that doesn't make sense, and I'm not going to do it. Or your heart may step in and say, oh, this could be just what I was asking for. And you may find yourself in a situation that allows you to step into that idea of service in a way that you had never intended. And this has already shown itself and played out in your life many times if you think about it. The way that things have come to you and come about for you are not usually in the way that you have expected them to. And yet they come about. If you are getting impatient, if you are focusing on what is not happening, you're getting in the way of that energy. We would recommend that you focus on the experience in every day that you are in service to someone, in some way, no matter how small it is.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
It's in this time too.
And so, it has been a pleasure to connect with you here tonight.
Thank you for coming.
We are honored to be among you. We are thrilled to bring these messages to you. And we will continue to do so as long as there is even one person to hear us. And so, we hope to be with you again. We wish you peace. We wish you the grand joy of discovery of who and what you really are, which is divine in all aspects of your being. We wish that as you leave here tonight, that you look into the heavens and feel your intrinsic connection to all things heavenly, in the cosmos, in the grand scheme of the universe, and understand that you are much more than you could ever imagine. And we see that in you, and we celebrate it. And we thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you. Okay. Oh, people are typing here. Okay. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. I'm just going to end the recording here so that I can say goodbye to these good people. It was a pleasure to connect with Frank again. It's been a while. I think I missed that a lot. So, all right. Thank you, guys. I love you, and I'll talk to you soon.